Today we're going to be installing a lift kit on my 2021 Tacoma TRD Sport. This is what it looks like right now. We just got these BF Goodrich KO2 wheels put on this week. We're going to be installing Bilstein 5100s in the front and the rear. And we're also adding these Icon out-of-leaf springs, which will give me about 1.5 inches of lift. So the Icon springs are going to give me 1.5 inches of lift, and they're going to help with the weight of the tent and the rack. And then the Bilstein 5100s are just basically going to level it out. This is going to be my first time working on any type of suspension on a car. I've done like basic maintenance on my Tacoma, like oil changes, changing the diff oil, bleeding the brakes, stuff like that. But I've never actually worked on the suspension before. I've been watching a ton of tutorials, but this is gonna be my first time. So if you guys are thinking about putting shocks on yourself and it's your first time, this video could be good for you to watch to see my struggles and to see how hard it actually is. All right, what's good guys? It's a couple days later. I'm not gonna lie, I did not do a good job filming me install the rear leafs and shocks, and I was just messing up so much. I don't think it's worth it to put it in the video. But just know I was struggling. It took a lot of hours to get those installed in. I had to go to the store like 5 times to get different sockets. I got a floor jack, some other tools that I should have got from the start. And I did do a tool check before I got started, and I thought I had everything. But of course, like the 2 nuts I didn't check, I didn't have the right sockets for those. So that was unfortunate. And there was just a lot of things that were going on. Like a lot of the bolts were way too long, even for the deep sockets that I was getting. So I had to grind down a bunch of bolts, and it was just taking forever, and I didn't film it that well, so I'm just not going to put it in. I'll talk about it a little bit more in the video, but I did do a pretty good job at filming me installing the front shocks. I did cut a couple parts out, but you know, this video is not a tutorial. It's just my experience of me lifting my truck for the first time. And honestly, if it's your first time, definitely get some friends. Make sure you get that floor jack, because it honestly makes the process go a lot easier. Once I had my friends help me out, and once I got all the right tools, we finished the rear leafs and shocks in like 3 hours. I wish I just did that from the start, because it would have saved a big headache. But yeah, I'm gonna roll the rest of the video. All right, good morning guys. Hopefully today is the final day of working on the car. We had a slight mishap. After I put the leaf springs and shocks on, I didn't torque everything down all the way, and it was starting to rain. So I was like, let me pull my car a little bit forward out the garage so that I can close it for the rain. But unfortunately, once that happened, my axle shifted off the leaf springs because I didn't torque it down all the way. Basically, me and my friends ended up having to redo the whole thing and fixing it, but we got it all done. The axle's on good now. I even took it for a little test drive just to make sure everything was set in its proper place and everything was aligned properly. But now we are on to the front. I think it definitely is more than 1.5 inches taller, but we got everything on there. We torqued everything down to spec. We're looking good so far. But yeah, I ran into a whole bunch of problems. Didn't have the right socket for the U-bolts and stuff like that. And then I even ended up buying this 2-ton floor jack. And honestly, after we got the floor jack, the proper tools, we finished in like 3 hours, so it wasn't too bad. But now we're on to the front. It's raining a little outside, but we made some room here in the garage so we can pull like half the truck in, and we'll be able to work on both sides of it. So I'm gonna pull the truck in for you guys. We're gonna get it up on the jack and the jack stands, and then we're gonna get to work. All right, the first step is gonna be taking off the skid plate. And in order to take off the skid plate, you're gonna need a 12mm socket. It's actually not as heavy as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, now we're gonna jack the car up, and then we're gonna put it on the jack stands. So we're pretty stable. Now we can go ahead and get into the disassembly of the shock. All right, so we got the jack secured under the control arm. First thing we're gonna do is loosen this with the 19mm deep socket, and then we're also gonna loosen that with the 22mm socket. Make sure you leave the bolt in place for now. Breaker bar really helps. All right, so we loosen this. You can keep the bolt on there, just keep it loose. And then come to the other side and do the same thing. And then come under the wheel, and you're gonna loosen this with the 19mm. And there's one on the other side as well that you're gonna loosen and completely take out. The breaker bar is coming in clutch today, boys. Now it is time for my least favorite part. Put the vice grips on here, 17mm wrench, and try to get that loose. All right, I didn't record that because I was struggling with it, but I did get it loosened. And it's gonna take me a little bit with this wrench because I don't have a ratchet, but I'll get it off in like 5 minutes. All right, we got the top taken off. I had to do a little bit of drilling so I could make it pop off, but it didn't take as long as grinding it off. We got that, and then while we had the jack under the control arm, after we took up that top bolt, we very slowly lowered the jack so the spring could decompress. All right, so the control arm's fully on the ground. Now we can just, should be able to get this out. got that and the spring out. The spring is in very good condition still, so I'm not gonna replace that. We got our Bilstein shocks right here. I set it to right there. That's 1.5 inches of lift. Looks like I got a little bit more than 1.5 in the back. And basically you just take this little white clip off, take this off, and then this will be in a separate bag. Just slide that on, put the dust boot back on, put this little clip back on. To adjust this, just pinch like super hard with needle nose pliers and lift up and you should be able to move it. It's a little bit hard, but it's not too bad. All right, now we're gonna take our spring. We're gonna put that on there. Make sure that's sitting properly, bottom right there. Take the smaller of the concave washers, put it on like this. And now we can get ready to install it in the truck. Make sure you got your bolt with you. All right, sorry I didn't record that part. I had to get my dad to help me out. He had to slide the jack under the control arm while I balanced it and guided it through the hole. Now you're gonna take your vice grips and an 18mm wrench and then just tighten it up. All right, we got that in there pretty good. Now we need to take these bolts that were on the bottom of the control arm, put those in, and then torque everything down. And that's pretty much it, guys. And by the way, it only took me like an hour to install the second shock on the front, but here's what the truck's looking like right now. I honestly think it looks pretty clean. It's like 3 to 4 inches higher than what it originally was. I think the next thing I want to do is install a winch on the front. So if I am hitting trails or if I get stuck somewhere, I can pull myself out. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. And I'll also link the tutorials that I watched to help me be able to install this. There's 2 tutorials, one for installing the Icon Add-A-Leafs in the rear shocks and one for installing the front shocks. And shout out to the people who made those videos because they were really good. They were honestly really detailed. I mean, they did make it look a lot easier than what I experienced, but it looks like they were also better equipped to do the job as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the truck. Let me know what else I should do to it. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.